I love you guys.
Dance off, bro. I have the high ground.
Expecto Patronum!
39 days, 20 people, 1 survivor. Tribe of Nerds.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds here on Reality After Show. We're so excited to be here. Definitely subscribe to both Reality After Show and the main Tribe of Nerds channel so you don't miss anything. But we are here, Kevin and I are here with Cameron and our guest this week, of course, Kristin, Scream superfan and host of Survivor Vanquish, which just concluded its All-Stars season. So, welcome to the podcast, Kristin.
Thanks, I'm so excited. Oh gosh, look, I already broke something. Here we are.
That didn't take long.
Didn't take long at all. I'm surprised.
Yeah. Well, we're really excited. We're going to be ranking all 6 Scream movies and all 13 Ghostface killers from the 6 movies. So we already have everything calculated, so we are just ready to go. So we'll start with the 6 movies, go from 6 to 1, and discuss as we go, and then 13 to 1 for the killers. So let's get going with the movies. So at number 6, the worst of the 6 Scream movies is the end of the original trilogy, Scream 3, with a 5.25 average. I think some of us rank this as the worst or like the second worst, so or like all of us.
Is this really surprising? It's like kind of silly. It was also a mess to make. It was it was like they were rewriting it as it was happening. There was supposed to be a second killer.
Angelina.
I'm still hoping
it's
in a
so
future
sad
movie.
that it is like so low because it is our only Scream movie with 1 killer, even though there was supposed to be 2, but like it's the only solo killer, and so it sucks that it's so low.
Yeah. I still enjoy like parts of this. I think there's some good ideas in here. It's cool to get Patrick Dempsey in here. We got a cameo from Carrie Fisher. Like there's some cool stuff. Yeah, there's and I'm glad that we got a little bit of Randy, even though he died in 2. Like, but I just like there's a lot of messy things and things that don't work about this movie. It was also made under Harvey Weinstein, which is not a good thing.
Points against it.
Yeah, so I think it's very clear why this is the worst one in the rankings.
On paper, it's really good though. A Scream movie set in the Stab movie set in Hollywood is such a good idea for it to play out the way it did.
Well, and like it's our least favorite. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just our least favorite.
Right.
We still love you, Scream 3.
Yeah.
To some extent.
To some extent, yeah. All right. Number 5. The most recent entry, Scream 6, is number 5 with a 4.5 average. The one that takes place in New York, I just rewatched this one the other day to prepare because I'd only seen it when it came out. I have issues with Scream 6. I think that ending reveal just doesn't do it for me. But there's some really cool ideas. There's some really brutal kills in this movie. Like, the opening scene is actually pretty cool. And like, you have Flash Thompson from Spider-Man killing Samara Weaving, so like
listen, the first that opening is cool. It's like a good twist on the Scream opening because we kind of expect with Scream now like that someone's gonna die right away in a shocking way, and like so we thought we got it, but then we actually got it, so that was good. The kills were brutal. They just didn't have the balls to actually kill off Gail. And like I love Gail. I don't want her to die, but like she should have died.
Yeah, and also Chad with the double knife kill.
Chad should have died. Chad,
like
Yeah, like I would have ranked it higher if they didn't pull their punches on these kills. Like the Chad kill, the Mindy kill would have been some of the most iconic in the franchise, and they stole that from us for the core four.
That is the biggest pet peeve I do have with this movie, because Scream is like, it does not matter. Ghostface is just killing everybody, and he's taking names, you know what I mean? So for us to have this kumbaya core 4 BS is really kind of frustrating to see, but it's such a, like, for 6 to have the first 3 killers, there's brutal, we've got the opening scene,
and we got Kirby
we're
back.
talking about Ghostface.
Yes,
like,
and Kirby back, yeah.
And Kirby back, of course, but, like, you know what I mean? So I feel like that they're all of that amazingness was ruined because they decided to do a stupid core 4 bullshit.
Yeah.
Which they can't even carry forward.
And I my one pet peeve with murder mystery movies is when they take too many people off the suspect list. You know, Ethan taking Mindy off the train took him off the suspect list for me. Quinn was dead. Like, Detective Bailey was a fine reveal, though.
Yeah, I actually liked, we'll get to that in the killer rankings, but I actually liked Detective Bailey. I think that one makes the most sense of the 3. So, all right. Then number 4 is Scream 4 with a average of 4. And this one was technically supposed to be that reboot 10 years before they did Scream 5 and 6. There's some interesting stuff in here too. I think the twist with Jill is fantastic. I think there's some really fun, creative kills in this one as well. I would say some of the new characters in Scream 4, like Kirby is obviously the standout, and then Jill, and then it's kind of like they're not as good as I'll give Scream 5 and 6 credit, is like I liked the new characters there more as opposed to in Scream 4 where all of them were set up to be fodder except Kirby, like so
I'm a Scream 4 defender.
Oh, go ahead, Kevin.
No, I'm a Scream 4 defender. I like Scream 4, and I watched a video about like who killed who, and basically Charlie killed everybody. And I like the idea that Jill is like such a master manipulator that like she got him to do all the dirty work for her. Like I like that stuff, but I understand it is not the most well liked in the franchise. It's okay.
Yeah.
For me, it just goes to the fact that, like, I even told Jake this, that like 3 and 4 kind of fluctuate for me. Like one day I love 3 more than 4, the next day I love 4 more than 3, because while it does have good things, just like 3 did, like. It's so, like, who cares about this, like, you know, live streaming kill? Like, this is so stupid. I'm, like, the cheesiest, but not in a good way. But you have Jill, who's, like, amazing. You've got Kirby. So it kind of balances out a little bit. But, yeah, no, it's not doing it for me. Like, 4 is not it.
Yeah, and Deputy Judy with her crazy eyes in this one.
You leave Deputy Judy alone.
Judy.
I feel like this Scream movie, more than the others, though, I was guessing who the killer was right up until the end. Like, I didn't know if it was going to be Robbie or Charlie, and I didn't know if it was going to be Jill or whatever, you know? But I did like the pacing of it and the feeling. Like, it felt like a Scream movie to me.
Yeah. Yep, and Anthony Anderson gets the best kill of getting stabbed in the forehead and then going, F Bruce Willis. So... all right, so then now for our top 3, and number 3, Scream 2 with a 3.25 average, and this one is like, you know, it's a great sequel to the first one, not as good as the first one, like not as polished, but I still really like the second one. I think we get a lot of good stuff. We get Cotton Weary, like Liev Schreiber gets so much to do in this movie, gets a great arc that sets up when we get to 3, the part of 3 that sucks is when Cotton's like the opening kill, and like this one sets that up, and so that's good. We're obviously going to talk about Nancy Loomis being just like a great follow-up killer, and you also get Sarah Michelle Gellar in this movie as well as one of the kills. So
can't believe we had this. And I Know What You Did Last Summer, and we get Buffy the Vampire Slayer just like running away and making dumb choices.
Yeah.
She ran up the stairs. I was like, no, Buffy, no, don't go up the stairs.
And a great opening kill.
Oh, when she's in the theater and she's literally in front of everyone and no one believes it because they think it's part of the
yes. Yeah, Jada Pinkett Smith and then the guy that was in that show, Resurrection.
Is it Omar? Is that who it
yeah,
was?
Omar Epps. Yeah. That show that I just mentioned is like a show that got canceled after like 2 seasons.
You know, though, I have to the thing that bugs me so much about this opening kill is I don't know if it's like angles or not, but Jada Pinkett Smith's neck is like the longest I think it's ever been. She's putting giraffes to shame. And it's distracting. It's distracting. No wonder the people were sitting there like, who cares if she's being killed right now? Like, look at her. But, no, it sets something up great. Like, you joke about it, but it does set up something so great for 2 after coming off something so fantastic from 1. And I think that 2 really, it's right there. You can't, sequels can either go one way or the other. They can either be really, really bad or they're going to be just as good. And I think, a combination of, Mrs. Loomis and, all this other stuff and, just these cheesy things of, let me sing on a table. It's just, the perfect amount of scream and corny and, everything. So I love, too.
Jerry O'Connell. Yeah. No, but I think everybody actually does, but it's so funny that it's good. But my thing is I understand why they do it, but it sucks to see Randy get killed off into that because he was obviously my favorite character in 1.
You liked the movie, nerd?
Weird. Yeah, of course.
I'm shocked.
But it's just
shocked.
Yeah, but it's just it's so sad to see him get killed off in this one, and just because if they're gonna keep the core 4 alive in the new trilogy or the new duology at the moment, but they're gonna kill off. But then they're gonna kill off Randy in this one. I don't know. Yeah, it's just sad.
But also in a way too that they were so prepared for it, right? They all were okay, we're gonna grid this out. We know that they can see us. They know that we're on a cell phone. They were so smart about it. And Randy, of all people that knows all the things, turns his back on a creepy van. You never turn your back on a creepy van, y'all. Okay,
yeah,
not in Scream.
Not in Scream, but yeah, no, I just feel that kind of sucked for a Randy, death because there was just it was so frustrating to see that they were so set up and they were so ready for anything, yet they weren't. Yeah.
But it is super nice when that nobody's safe. Once they killed Randy off, you're okay, anybody can die then. There is no limit. And at the time, Gale and Dewey were not invulnerable. Obviously they weren't. Maybe Gale is.
Yeah. Gale gets wounded in the stomach every single movie. So. Yeah, true.
They're just hitting scar tissue at this point.
All right. Oh, yep. All right, number 2, we have Scream 5, 2.75 average. Scream 5, just rewatching it yesterday even, I enjoyed it again. This is a really solid, requel, and just, the fact that you get such a good motivation for the killers, even of, toxic fandom that's so relevant to movies since, 10 years ago, it was so good, and, the new characters were very likable. Similar to Randy, my only gripe is the Dewey death. It's just it's sad to see Dewey go, and also
let's not talk about it, Jake. Stop talking about it.
Even more so, that note about nobody is safe. That is even more true than because of Dewey. Because Dewey's made it through 4 movies before this, right? He and should have died so many times. He's supposed to be the invincible one, and
yes.
No, it's the part where you're everybody is in love with Dewey at this point, right? Dewey is the best thing that's ever happened to the screen. We all love Sidney Prescott, right? But Dewey has our hearts, and to just he's nope, you gotta shoot him in the head. You know what I mean? You gotta take care of it. And for him to just get distracted or one stupid mistake, and then we lose our beloved, and it was heart wrenching. I cried like a baby. Don't judge me. I was ugly crying in the theater. It was a horrible death for me.
Yeah.
I judge you plenty, don't worry.
That's okay. But also, here's the funny thing too. So I just started introducing Scream to my kids, and Raddick, my oldest, he instantly loved Dewey, just like all of us. And like again, like even as a young person, I really, you know what I mean, just now getting into the franchise, sitting there on the couch just bawling his eyes out as Dewey's dying. Like it's just like one of those things that just shows you how much we all fell in love with Dewey.
Oh, it is just so heartbreaking though, and like the ghost face that kills him does honor him a little bit. Like the like no death in the franchise has ever got that much love from the killer, but it is heartbreaking and gut wrenching. But you know it has to happen eventually.
But this is also my huge gripe about this part. Is we're set to believe that Amber did this. Like, come on. This is the biggest.
She was very motivated. She really wanted a good
my
stab
butt.
sequel.
There's no way. Like Amber grew 6 inches overnight. She's overpowering. Like I cannot.
She wanted a new good stab movie. I don't understand the problem.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, my older. This is where I can't get it. That's why I can't get behind it. Like, not only is it heart wrenching, but like we're meant to believe that this is Amber. This is a joke.
Yeah, the 5 foot something girl beating Dewey like that. Yeah, my older brother had the same gripe. Yeah, but yeah, my older brother had the same gripe, and he's told me about it. So it's
you put on that ghost face mask and you put on the black like cape, and you now are whatever Ghostface is. Like your actual body metrics out the window.
Yeah,
right.
You magically
you
grow.
can grow 6 inches in a matter of seconds. It's fine.
I don't know if they edited it since it came out in like a theatrical release, but I swear when I rewatched it, she looked like the ghost face that kills him looks shorter and doesn't lift him that far up off the ground. I'm like, okay, you know what? It's more believable the more I watch it. But at first you're like, there's no way. But also, Dewey, just shoot. It's laying down in a trophy case. Just shoot it. Why'd you get close?
Yeah, I don't know. There's people that make interesting decisions, and even poor Dewey makes some not so great decisions. So,
listen, if I'm ever in a Scream movie, I'm gonna make it to the end because I'm not gonna make the dumb choices that these people make.
No, you won't, because I'd be like Ghostface and I'd help them out just to get rid of you.
I'm pretty sure Sarah would be Ghostface just to get rid of Kevin.
Sarah would be Ghostface, and that's why I would be safe, because I know not to trust her.
Sarah's not gonna have to get sent to Kevin somehow, right?
Right, exactly. All right, and then our number 1 movie, of course, has to be the original with a 1. Everybody gave it a 1, so like
it's so obviously the best. It's so obviously
If
the
somebody
best.
didn't give it a 1, I was gonna have a problem. I was gonna like so come for somebody that didn't put 1 as number 1.
Like I even sat there and I was like, could I even put any of them above 1? Could I put 5 above 1? No, I can't do it. I can't even do it. Like, it's just remember watching it the first time and remember watching Drew Barrymore and you're like, what do you mean? Like, well, how is she going to survive this? Because she's supposed to be in the movie. Like, she's hanging by her intestines. How is she supposed to survive this? Like,
but it's like it's something so
insane
to like think that that's the opening scene, right? Like I can literally quote that like entire opening scene verbatim, like her on the, you know what I mean? Like, oh my god, shut up! Like, oh, and then it's like the terror, like instantly when she realizes, you know what I mean? It's like it's such like it sucks you in so quickly.
Yeah,
the 2 killers. Like, who expected 2 killers when we go into that movie? Who expected that? Not me.
Nobody. Yeah, nobody. I mean, just like it's so well written too, and then like you rewatch it and you'll pick up on more stuff. But like even the fact like you think in scenes that it's like obvious that Stu and Billy, like the video store with Randy, like it's obvious that, you know, they're the killers, but then you're like, it can't be that obvious, but it's just so well written. Yeah, right. But like it's just so funny to watch that scene and be like, Randy literally is talking to the killers right now, and they're literally like taunting him. Like, it's so good.
But also, it's because there was 2.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's because there was 2 of them. So like you thought, no, like when you started to think it could be Stu, like, oh no, it can't be Stu because like he has this allergy, like there's this thing. Well, that's because it wasn't Stu doing that one thing, right? Like same thing, like, oh well, like like it has to be Billy, but like, oh, it can't be Billy because Billy just got Billy got stabbed because the other killer stabbed him. Like it could still be Billy, right? Like it's just so
Yeah.
good. It's
Well,
so
and even the fact that Billy like basically framed himself and got himself out of jail because Stu was there to get him out. Like it's just so good.
Well, and I think, I mean, it has to be said, and I know we're gonna get to them, with like next, but like Billy is just. It's one of those things that if you were ever to be like watch a slasher, like I'm an original Halloween girl, like that was where I really got into horror movies and things like that. Like we're talking about Michael Myers is my one true love, and then you have Ghostface because Billy executed Ghostface so well that I'm like, oh my gosh, I have a new love. Like, I mean, Michael will always be number one, but like Ghostface, he's right there because of Billy, and it was because of Billy that these other Ghostface are able to create something so brilliantly because he nailed that.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a movie to come along and challenge the tropes that like Halloween and other slashers did at the time and absolutely crush it, and while having survivors in the movie who know about the movies that they're trying to survive currently is so cool. Like the meta commentary throughout Scream 1 can just never be topped, and even 5 movies made after that have not come close to like the script writing that one had.
Yeah, and then immediately getting the star power that they did. I mean, obviously Courtney Cox was huge in the 90s, and like Drew Barrymore, obviously, and then you have Henry Winkler as well. Like you have some really, so you just have some massive star power in this first movie. So,
Courtney Cox did Friends in the 90s, and Neve Campbell did Party of Five in the 90s. But I think this is like kind of at the beginning of those things, so they weren't huge yet. And so now it's one of those things where like this is one of the things that established them.
All right, so that is the movies. So let's head into the Ghostface killers. Some of them we can probably group together or not have too much to say as we go. But the worst one that we ranked is Tony Revolori, Jason Carvey, Flash Thompson himself from Scream 6. And what I will give him is that he killed Samara Weaving. That was actually a cool scene because I didn't expect Ghostface to unmask immediately, and then I'm like, oh, so he's not the actual Ghostface that we're going to be following in this movie. He's going to actually be the real opening kill. So it was really good, but again, he didn't really do much. He obviously wasn't a real Ghostface. So yeah.
What I will say is the perspective is cool though. Like watching a killer stuff the costume into his backpack and just go back to casually walking past like our main crew is so cool. Like they could have kept him alive and just like we knew there's other killers that we just don't know who he's working with. But like I think regardless, killing him there was still more than fine. But it's so cool to watch him act out, like see the Ghostface, leave the persona, and turn back into just like another suspect.
Yeah, see, it's funny here because this is kind of where he's not much higher for me on my personal list, but like just how much he torment. Like, wait, are you in the alley? But I don't see you. Wait, are you sure you're in the right alley? Like, it's just like the cat and mouse and how sadistic that was. Like, well, oh my gosh, now they're chasing me. Oh my gosh. And she's like, oh, I have to go rescue this person. I have zero idea who they are. Just the cat and mouse game that he was able to play, I feel like puts him a little bit above somebody else that I was thinking of. But, I mean, he's not much higher.
Yeah, I have someone else below him as well, just for different reasons than Kristin, but like...
No, I had him at the bottom just because I don't think he's a real Ghostface. I mean, I know that but like, I don't count him, so...
Yeah.
He was a real Ghostface in his head. Right.
All right, so then the next two, I'm just going to group them together because I think they go together, obviously. Also from Scream 6, we have Quinn and Ethan, and I had Quinn as my worst, just because, you spend most of the movie thinking she's dead, and just the fact, like, I just don't I get there's subverting expectations, but it just didn't work for me. And then Ethan being, like, kind of also taken off the suspect list, as Cam has said, like, also just didn't quite work for me. So, and then being Richie's other siblings, like, I don't know. I understand what they were going for, but it just didn't quite work for me. And unlike their father, who I think was a little bit better, they're just not up there for me.
See, again, here's where I disagree because, and this is the thing. This is the thing. Like, again, they're not much higher. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't have them placed like 1, 2, 3, right? But when we talk about, like, again, Quinn, like, she thought we think she's dead. She comes back for what, 15 minutes of this movie, and she's like so sadistic, and like her just in her facial features, like that girl got like half of her teeth knocked out. And she's like, let's go. Like she just was like not even
That's
playing.
true.
So that's why I have her a little bit higher than like a couple other people, because it's like, again, not much higher. Don't get me wrong, because again, whatever. But I feel like these two siblings were so sadistic, and because dad's like psychotic, right? So, and then brother, like it's running in the family, obviously. There's something in the water over there, but it's just like they were able to, in those little pieces that we saw of them as killers, you were like, wow, they're so demented, and I love it.
Yeah, I had her as my lowest, just right above Jason, just because she's like, we think she's dead. She's supposed to be dead, and she dies like really stupidly too. Like she's like just refusing to look behind her when clearly there's a ghost face right behind her, which is like very dumb. So I did have her really low. I had Ethan kind of in the middle, just because like I think some of the things that I think were him, he was like kind of brutal. So okay, like I'll give you points for that. So I had him in the middle, but I mean, clearly the dad is the standout killer from that trio.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
While I think Quinn was underutilized in the final scene, like she is dead for most of the movie, takes off the mask, she kind of hardly does anything, and then gets shot in the head. You know, it's unfortunate because the actress portrayed Quinn as a crazy person so well that I wish we got more of it. Like teeth bashed out, gushing blood from the mouth, but it's just like sadistic with the knife is great. I put Ethan higher than Quinn because he gets a lot more screen time throughout the finale. Like he comes back, he's the final person. Like knife in the mouth, doesn't matter, gets a TV on the head. You know, he is crazy.
All right, and in 10th, I'm a little surprised because I think Cam and I had him higher than both Kristin and Kevin, but we have Mickey Altieri from Scream 2, Timothy Olyphant. I don't know if, I told Kristin this the other night, but I think it's just like the performance of Timothy Olyphant. I actually really like in like when he's revealed as the killer and he's kind of just playing with Sydney and just like really I kind of just like the performance there. And I'm not saying like he clearly was obviously being the puppet of Nancy Loomis, but like I don't know, I kind of just, it's the performance that elevates him for me, but I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say.
I wouldn't even give him the title of puppet. He was such a joke. I'm sorry. I cannot. Mickey is very set last for me. I can, like, this man clearly was just there and he is just, the best way I can describe him is, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I think I'm going to stab somebody today. But you know what? No, okay, today I'm gonna go to the cafeteria. He has no idea what he's doing. This is clearly Nancy Loomis just picking the biggest idiot that she can find out there and just giving him a knife. Like, he has no storyline. He has no reason to be in these movies. He needs to go sit down. Goodbye.
Agree!
Listen, Mickey is the only killer who was like previously a serial killer before becoming Ghostface. That's why Nancy recruited him, is because he was already a sadistic killer, and he like Nancy could completely get away with it by the end of the movie if it worked out, because he wanted to go to trial and fight and like be the star of all of this stuff. So I think that's an interesting motive, because he was already a killer and he was fine getting caught and like dragging the trial on for months and months and years and being an icon, and like he didn't care about being Ghostface. He cared about killing people, and Nancy Loomis took advantage of that. That's why I put him very much higher than this.
That's why she's the better one.
Right. Nancy did not need him.
Didn't he? He was also the one who was like, the movies made me do it. The movies made me do it.
Mickey did get a lot of the kills in Scream 2 as well. So,
Right, but that's what I'm saying. She literally said, "Here's a knife. Go do my dirty work because I'm the mastermind." He's nothing. He's a vessel.
I personally, as I was writing my rankings, I put all of the masterminds above all of the lackeys.
Yeah, I get that.
Okay, but the masterminds don't get shit done without the lackeys. You know?
But it's the mastermind's plan.
Yeah, but none of Scream 2 happens without Mickey being involved.
All right. So then moving forward, so we have a few people tied. So the reason I broke ties is if someone had one of the killers way lower than other people, even though they have the same average. But number 9 is Charlie Walker from Scream 4. And a little bit of a lackey as well to Jill. I mean, Jill's clearly, using him. He does a lot of the kills as well. So I guess this is proper placement for Charlie to be right above Mickey because they are pretty similar in that way. So
they're the exact same. They're the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
For people who love brutal kills in the Scream franchise, you're putting the Ghostfaces who give you those kills at the very bottom. Charlie was an absolute slasher genius. He was an artist when it came to killing his victims,
Okay. But him as a character, he's a little bitch.
He is. Thank you. He is the biggest little bitch ever.
Yeah, right, because he thinks he's gonna be the new Stu, and then Jill just murders him instead.
That's what I'm saying. Charlie should be so low because Jill literally is okay, go away. You're done now.
Thanks for doing all my dirty work. I don't need you anymore.
I'm done with you. And this is Loomis would have done the same. Loomis, you know what I mean? This is where we're at here.
And that was her plan too. Was I'm going to survive, and just be the last survivor, and I'm going to be able to blame it all on him.
Yeah.
Dumb and didn't figure out that
Yeah. All right. Number 8, Scream 3, the sole killer of that movie. We have Roman Bridger. And Roman is technically that mastermind, but I don't think Scream 3 really gave him as much as they could have, and the way that the storyline played out, and him being Sydney's secret brother, and just I just don't know that it really worked. It's interesting ideas though, and he did do it solo, even though he was meant to be with Angelina. Right. But
he's low for me because of the messiness of making it that it's supposed to be 2 killers, and it turns out to just be him. So some of the the math of it doesn't make sense of how was that person in that place? That doesn't make sense. So he's just low for me just because that's just the worst movie. So I'm least impressed by my least favorite movie.
Yeah, he fakes his pulse, which is so weird, because then you're okay, that wasn't really explained, but whatever.
That's why I am waiting. I am waiting for a reveal that Angelina is still alive and is going to come back in a future movie. That's what I'm waiting for.
This goes back to the whole Amber grew 6 feet to kill Dewey, because it's these moments where you're okay, whatever, it's obvious that can't happen, but Roman has to give props because we all know that there was supposed to be another killer, but he is technically on record because of the movie the only solo Ghostface, so he has to get at least. I agree where he is at, his placement.
Yeah, very good.
But one more thing before we move on. Retconning the whole first movie and saying that Roman planned it all annoyed me greatly.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's something to where a third movie, I'm going to reference Spider-Man 3 in our first episode, just when you're going to retcon the events in the first movie to try to make it make sense in the third one, it just doesn't work. So anyway, all right, number 7, we have Dermot Mulroney, or Detective Wayne Bailey. I like the fact that it is someone who has infiltrated into the police force and is has all that knowledge of how to get around the city and get in places. I actually like that is a Ghostface killer.
I had him way high. I am shocked by this. I am shocked.
I had him at number 10 because I don't like the reveal, but I do like the concept of what he is. It's just like the reveal wasn't very good, so it sours it for me.
So I remember watching it, and I remember like he's the one who calls and says it's Kirby, but it's actually him at the time, and like they're leading you to believe she is crazy throughout the movie. So like and like even though Nancy Loomis has been a killer before, like I don't know, I wasn't looking at the old man, and like his daughter died. Like I wasn't considering him. I had considered Ethan, right? Like that made sense, but I'm like, and like the weird kind of boyfriend that she's sleeping with next door, like that's who I'm like, what's going on with these people? I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. There's a cop, and it could be a parent of someone who died. Shit, I forgot about that. And he's also brutal. Like he is, like, if I'm not mistaken, he's the one who goes after. No, he doesn't go after Gail. He goes after, I forget which one he goes after. But he's like the full-grown adult man trained killer. Like
yeah. Well, and it's also cool because like I think Ethan was probably the one in the bodega. But like the fact that's why he trained his kids as well to like know how to kill people, know how to work a shotgun and all this other stuff. Like that's what's cool about that as well. And you get things like the bodega scene, which like is so crazy that they actually did that, and they're just cool with killing people in public or on the train.
Yes.
Like
Detective Bailey's a dumb little bitch. He ran at Sam Carpenter with a gun in front of him like this and didn't shoot her. Just ran at her. And then they run into each other and fall off the balcony, and then he shoots his gun. I'm like, what are you doing? You just watched your daughter get shot in the head, your son get stabbed in the mouth, and you're not going to shoot her? You're just going to run at her? Come on.
that was goofy. I'm not gonna lie. to be I'll let Kristin go.
No, I was staying on mute because they just brought something into the main stage, and so I was trying to like find something quiet. But the reason why he's so low for me, my freaking 14-year-old figured out that he was a killer from literally like 2 seconds into the movie. So I'm like, you're not a very good Ghostface if you're getting found out by a like teenager.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Kevin. I know you had a massive love for him, but like, don't get me wrong, he's still a decent killer, but he's where he needs to be. I agree, middle of the road.
Well, he's going to be middle of the road in the combined rankings for now.
I enjoyed his run. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Be wrong.
All right. Well, let's finish the top half here as we close out, but soon. But Amber Freeman, Mikey Madison as number 6 in Scream 5. I think like one thing I like about her is, again, we're talking about brutality, and she has this way of like killing. One thing that I like that she does, I think she's the one who kills Wes and Judy as well, like where I think she goes for the throat a lot in her kills, like where she's stabs Wes through the neck, and just like I like the brutality there, and like how crazy she is, and just like I don't know, I like everything with her there. I just don't like how she kills Dewey, but like I can give that a little bit of a pass for the rest of the performance being good.
Yeah, here's the thing with Amber, like, I want to hate her so bad. Like, I want to say that she's a horrible, horrible killer because of what she did to Dewey, but like, this girl, like, she had hand sanitizer, lit her face on fire, and she's still going. She is a firecracker. She is going to get what she wants. I mean, it didn't end up working out for her, but she was not quitting, and she was sadistic, one of the most sadistic. And that's where she has to be placed higher. Like, I'm sorry, she is just a phenomenal killer.
Mm-hmm.
Amber did it out in the open. You know, she did it with her chest. Like, she's the opening text calls and calls coming from Amber. She was just like, it makes sense. They've never used the actual killer to do this. So like Richie and Amber were so out in the open compared to every other Ghostface. And when they meet Dewey even says it's always the boyfriend. And like, they're pointing at these two the entire movie, but it subverts our expectations from being them because of that.
Yes.
But like, even just like, think about her coming out of the house, like when Gail and like they're walking up, and she's like, "Oh my god, help me!" Like blah blah blah, and then she's like, "Fuck this," It's like, oh my god, I love her. She just does not care.
Yeah,
I had her low, but I had her low because, like I said, I had like I had all of the like masterminds and all the little bitches, and so just as I was like sorting them, I was just picturing her kind of like silly makeup, face on fire look, and I was like, "That's ridiculous. You're going down lower."
And here I'm like, this is her being a whippersnapper. You gotta get her in there.
I think this is, I think this is a good place for her, though. I'm just looking at the top 5, and I think these are undoubtedly. I mean, this just seems like it should be the top 5, but
Agreed.
all right, number 5. Let's talk about Laurie Metcalf and Nancy Loomis. Just being this mastermind, being Billy's mother, and then just like talk about crazy eyes. We're talking about I think her performance with her eyes is just astounding. Like, this woman is.
Kristin too. Kristin might be able to attest to this too. She was the aunt from Roseanne. Like, this was. If you were at all used to watching TV at the time, you were not expecting this person, like that image of that person, to be a serial killer. Like,
right.
That was very well done.
And her just like her admiration.
Admiration for Gail,
for Gail and stuff, and like she's like this like nerdy, like, oh, you gotta get here first, Gail. Like, you just were like, this lady has lost it. She is a straight up Karen, but all along she's not Karen. she is the epitome of mommy dearest. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I love Mrs. Loomis as a killer. She's amazing.
Yeah.
I think Cam had her lower than all of us.
Well, Cam can't be right about everything, okay?
So I didn't have these like presumptions about her actress, right? I just was watching the movie and I was very disappointed when she came out. I was almost like, the reporter lady? And then she turns out to be Billy's mom, and I was like,
I think what makes it even more so, though, is like, we're set up in the first one, right, where she left. Billy, like, he has no mom. Like, she's gone. Like, she's like, Amscray. And so you're like, you're not even thinking this is a possibility. And then she's like, Billy's mom. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that's where it comes out for me of that she's the killer, is that you're like, that's the last thing on your mind, that this is Billy Loomis's mother. And then when that gets revealed, you're just sitting there like,
yeah. All right. And then number 4, we have Jack Quaid. We have Richie Kirsch. And as soon as scenes Jack Quaid was in this movie, I'm like, they're either going to make him really likable or he's going to be one of the killers. And like, because when you have Jack Quaid, the height of his popularity with The Boys and like everything, I just like was pretty sure that they would make him the killer for that reason. And he's just so good. And throughout the movie, you're like, oh, he's this really supportive boyfriend. And even though he hasn't seen these movies, which is sus for a reason. But like, the way he's able to shift from that to being a killer is just so good. And like the toxic fandom motivation is just very, 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 very good.
This was the killer for me that I was like, I went back and forth this entire movie. I'm like, he's definitely the killer. And then like 2 minutes later, I'm like, he's definitely not the killer.
Exactly.
And so he was probably one of the only Ghostfaces that I ever went back and forth the entire movie. Like, we're talking about him, like, never seeing the movies. Like, he's sitting there, and this is where it goes back to, like, these sadistic, like, plot things. Oh, I'm watching the stab movies because I've never seen them before. Like, in the, like, hospital room of the girl. Like, come on. This is so messed up. So messed up in the best way possible.
Him and Amber accusing each other over her body in the hospital is amazing, because like accusing each other, right.
It's just like these two and their dynamic. It's just, and they're like, maybe you're the killer, and well, maybe you're the killer. Well, how about both of us?
That was hilarious. Yeah, I love that too on the rewatch, noticing that, and you pick up on things that you didn't before, and it's just so good. Top 3, number 3, we have Emma Roberts, Jill Roberts.
I love her.
Yeah, she is this crazy, fame-hungry mastermind that just she wants to step out of Sydney's shadow and get everything for herself, and how she just completely masterminds everything. And one of the best twist reveals of the Scream franchise is her, because you would not expect Sydney's niece to be the killer.
Yes, and her unravel at the end when she finds out that whatchamacallit is still alive. Like,
yes,
it's like her whole plan is falling apart, and she's like, No.
Yeah.
So good.
But here's
Yeah.
the thing that's so funny. Like, Jake, I love that you just said this. She's like, nobody would have expected Sydney's niece to be the killer. Well, why? We have Sydney's brother. We've got, like, the boyfriend's
That's true. That's
It's
true.
so
That's
fun.
true.
But, you know, but it is true. But it is true because Jill's, like, this, like, sweet little innocent girl, you know? Like, you're just like, there's no way. But she turns out to be one of the most sadistic of them all. Like, she's running herself into knives and throwing herself into a table. This girl is beyond demented at this point. Like, she is so, like, just like chef's kiss to what Emma Roberts was able to bring to Jill's character.
Throughout the movie, you can see her like on a rewatch of Scream 4. You see Jill filming stuff with her phone, and like it's just so well planned out for these two. Like I was floored when Jill was revealed as the killer, but I almost think that's what killed like Scream 4 for making a Scream 5 for 11 years, because like they introduced all these new talent cast, but then either killed them all off, or Jill, the main character who would probably take over the franchise, is like killed off.
Yeah. All right, our top two. I mean, who would have predicted this? No, everybody would have predicted this, I think. But number two, we have Stu Macher, Matthew Lillard, and just like he starts out like he's just, you see him as this goofy guy that's like in love with Tatum and just like likes to party, have fun. And then he's just actually this psycho. And just so many quotable lines from him in this movie as well. And you know, even though he's like Billy's like lackey, really, he's like the best of the lackeys. And I just can totally buy him as a killer throughout this movie. He's so good.
I just love Stu, and I think he is the better killer of the two, but that's obviously I know Billy's the best, but I put Stu as number one because I personally enjoyed his performance the best. But I understand.
Well, I put Stu even lower than Cameron. Because, listen, I love Stu, and don't get me wrong, like, I absolutely adore Stu. He is a fantastic killer. However, you've got like somebody like a Jill that we just talked about. I feel like Jill is over him in that way of being that sadistic, like maniac killer, where Stu needs to come down a couple pegs, because you've got like Billy, who's we're going to talk about in a minute, but like I don't know, when you're looking at Billy and Jill, I just think that Stu needs to come down a couple notches.
Yeah.
There's just so many hints. I could spend another 30 minutes talking about all the hints that Stu Macher's still lurking around. But you know what? That's not what this podcast is for.
Yeah, the lore. Yeah, well, in the
TV
lore,
to the head, you could totally survive that.
Totally.
Well, Amber survived getting lit on fire from hand sanitizer. Like, it's just, but just like, I don't know, like, the lore behind Stu as well for all these years was like the original thing was that Stu was going to be the hidden mastermind of like Scream 3. And, you know, they obviously had the shrine in 6, and then they literally reference if Stu could still be alive in the movie because they're addressing those fan theories.
Yes.
So it's so good. So I could totally see him coming back. But we'll have to see.
I'm waiting for Stu Macher to come back with Angelina.
Yeah.
Well, okay, listen, guys, as somebody that's actually like talked to Stu, he has said that he is dead and gone. He is not coming back. So for all the fans that like want to have Stu back,
listen,
no, I don't think Matthew wants to.
He's not the writer.
Well,
the actor.
if that's the case, I mean, he is not prepared for that. So just so you guys know.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right, forget Stu. Let's get to my love, my one and only love.
All right, Skeet Ulrich, Billy Loomis. Let's do this. Billy Loomis, just the fact, like everything that goes into this performance in this movie, and like he should be this obvious killer, but then you're like, oh no, it's too obvious. It can't be Billy, but it is, and he's just so good.
He's love so good, and like. From the behind the scenes too, of like how much planning they put into like now we talk about like how did Amber pick up Dewey, right? Like now Ghostface is kind of magical. Ghostface is magical now because Ghostface was surprised to people and able to do magical things in the first movie because it wasn't just one person who didn't know it yet. And so like the fact that Billy came up with all that is just like genius.
Billy is my, I love Billy. Oh my gosh, I hate being like that person because people are gonna be like, this girl is also gonna be now a Ghostface because she's talking about how much she loves a Ghostface. Billy is just, listen. Well, first of all, the man is gorgeous.
Gonna be
okay,
probably already is.
Man is gorgeous. But so again, you're like sitting here like, oh, heartthrob, like, no, don't be a killer. But then you're also like Tatum, like, oh, Mr. Ghostface, don't kill me because I want to be in the sequel with you. You know what I mean? Because it's like you just want to be with Billy. Like you just want this to continue on. So I like, again, it's going back to like the sadistic, like all of it, like where it's coming back for my mom left because your mom's a whore and like all these things, like you're like, there are so many plot lines happening right now, and Billy's just like nailing every single one of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did also want to say, like, I feel like a lot of the stuff in Scream 1 between the two of them was improvised. I feel like I've heard that. Like, I mean, Billy throwing the phone at Stu and Stu being like, you hit me with the phone, you dick. Like, it's so, like, I feel like it's so good. That, like, all that stuff is so good. So anything else to say before we end this?
I love you, Skeet Ulrich. Marry me.
The last thing I'll say about Billy is he's the best for a reason, right? Like he, in the movie that is so self-aware of horror movies, he is the narrator. He is quoting all of these movies. He knows how they all play out, and he executes it to perfection. And when he reveals, he doesn't stop after his reveal. He keeps quoting these movies because they're what drove him and what made him play out the movie the way it did. And I think for Scream 1 and how like meta it was, he was the perfect choice, and he played it fantastic.
It's really cool. So with that, we have Billy as number 1 and Scream 1 is number 1. So that is the end of our Scream podcast. So again, please go subscribe to Reality After Show so you don't miss any upcoming episodes and our Tribe Nerds main channel. Yeah, and you guys can check out stuff on the main channel as well, which will include like our Survivor stuff and things like that. So
all of our
nerdy things. So without any further ado, we will see you all next time on the Tribe of Nerds.
Fuck you, Sarah, wherever you are.